Blessings, everyone. It's Jules, and this is the Raise Your Vibration Summit. And I have a dear friend of mine, and truly, like, this relationship is all about raising your vibration because I think every single time we have a conversation, I always walk away feeling lighter, more inspired, more clear. And what I love about Dennis is that we are really we have this really unique reflection around business and how we can bring these new concepts of frequency and living in a really unique mindset in order to kind of bypass the algorithm that's stuck in that multidimension or in the lower frequencies and bring it into a multidimensional space. And this is Dennis's genius. So I'm going to just say welcome, Dennis. And this will be really fun to see where this goes. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, everybody. Thank you first, Jules, for inviting me for this. It was a pleasure. This is going to be fun. I haven't done an interview in probably a couple of years, so I'm pretty excited. Hello, I'm Dennis Langlaise. I had the lucky opportunity of being a professional extreme sports athlete for the first part of my journey in my life. Looking back now, I had opportunities that I see people around me at an older age wish they had of traveling the world, signing autographs, being in front of such major sponsors and representing them in a big way around the world and competing at the highest level, training day in, day out as a young kid, becoming an athlete. And later on, I started a business around that. I actually started a business where we would actually entertain using these stunts to entertain people, whether it's Microsoft or schools around the world. We did thousands, tens of thousands of shows, not competing, but entertaining. And for me, I felt like a step down, but reality is you get older and you move on as an athlete and you have to kind of succumb to that, kind of like Tom Brady's doing right now, right? So he's going from the big stage to another stage. And so I completed that stage, and eventually with some business selling and some transformation, I got into the podcast world, and that's where I met Jules. And learning in the podcast world, we had to learn how to brand ourselves. And I was like, well, I've already done this before. This is really easy. But I really didn't realize I did it. And so in this journey, I've become a podcaster, I guess an icon podcaster, as I'd say, and had the opportunity to meet people like Jules at conferences and get my name out there. And that's kind of where our relationship came from, is both having businesses. I had a podcast. She had her, was it called Infinite Gold at first, right?
Yeah.
So I got to interview her, and so from there on out, we continuously talk. But this journey has been great because you have these people in your life that compliment you. They're finishing your sentences for you or expanding them. And so it's been really nice to be able to do that with you, Jules. And both our businesses is having little bites of information we could share with each other. And hopefully we can give some information to you guys here today in the audience on how you can raise your vibration in your business and your life as how we do in our lives. So that's a little tidbit about me. Now I'm the owner of a software company called Ranking Mastery, which is kind of the next stage of my life. And it's really exciting. I've always excelled in internet and search. So being found in organic search, kind of like being found in organic life, right? And matching that into an online experience. So recently about to launch a book here, and it's called Ranking Mastery. And it's going to be pretty exciting. And that really tells a story of how I took the real life experience and molded it into an online experience. And that's what my software is about.
That just gave me chills. And so let's talk a little bit about, I love just hooking those together, about what the software system does and then how that can elevate our real life experience, right?
So if anybody in the audience is familiar with search online, I'm sure you used Google 100 times a week, right? So you're searching for something, you know, something to do with quantum or something to do with this. You're doing a search, you're doing an evaluation, and you're trying to find information out there. Well, us as servers or business owners, we want to be that person you find. And just like going to a conference and you want to get the attention of a speaker, you have to have some sort of dress or way of collecting energy to get that person to find you, or the right information, or enough hands in the room to be able to get that person to connect with you. So the online search is the same way. I have to compete with hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of businesses to give you, the person that's searching, what you want. And ranking mastery is basically a tool that helps people, one, learn how to understand how to make what I call relative content. So you're being relative to what they search for. And we use different tools and different things to help people understand this is the content that surrounds your very niche question. All right. So give me a question that somebody might search for your business.
Let's do best supplement for mitochondria health.
All right. So see how she's being very specific at what she's asking. So it's a very specific mitochondria health. So, well, if I'm going to create a page and I'm in her business, which we will probably do, is we would create content unique to that specific search, that specific subject. Whereas 99% of the people out there, they'll build a website, they'll have answers to lots of different questions. They'll have, you know, to coughing, to sneezing, to this. I'm just giving examples. And the search engine doesn't really understand, well, what is this going to be, you know, relative to? Is it, okay, she's talking about coughing, sneezing, mitochondria. I don't really know where to put her. And I can't really put her in everything because this guy over here is focusing on this. This guy's focusing on this. This one's looking on this. So they did a little bit more work than her. So I'm going to rank them a little higher. So ranking mastery allows you to create pages quickly relative to very specific searches. And often when I meet with clients, they want to, actually I'm just meeting with Cynthia, and we want to she has so many great programs she's offering. And I'm like, well, let's just stay on your one certification and then we'll do this one. And so you have to really kind of pull away the distractions, not only to the person trying to purchase from you, but the search engines, pull away the distractions and be very unique and relative to your search, create a page for that. And that's what ranking mastery really helps people do. And it's able to build them very efficiently, based on the guidelines of being found in search. Does that help?
And I love that. You know what I also love about that is if we could just do that with our actual lives as well. It's like, okay, what am I going to focus on right now and master it, right? And then move on to the next thing. Instead of having interference of a million different things, we fully integrate into that one place. So this is what I'm talking about, of kind of mastering the algorithm of, if you want to say, the universe, but doing it through a software system to where it's actually helping you do that.
I mean, the more we're just seeing every day with AI and everything, that the digital world really is trying to model the real world, right? It's trying, and it really literally is now. It can create. I just saw on Instagram, it can, what dress code should I dress in today? They got the office look, and it's putting that girl's face with different hairstyles based on her, you know, what she's dressed. It's crazy. So it's doing everything for us. And the more people understand that your online experience is really no different than your real life experience. One of the things I remember, you probably remember this from our first coaching call we did for ranking mastery, because you've been in the system now for a while, is I would always tell people, in my phone has a directory of people that I know. And there may be 4 or 5 people in this phone that Jules also has their phone number. So there's a connection going on between this phone and her phone and then the other people's phones. So the internet is the same way. Your website will connect to other resources, and or their websites out there, Facebook media will connect to yours as posing as a resource. So whether in real life, I know, you know, the top lawyer, I know the chief of police, I know, you know, the guy that owns the Boston Red Sox. Well, I'm good chances I'm going to get a ticket to the Red Sox. Good chances my son's going to get a chance to pitch in, in a tryout for the Red Sox. You know what I mean? So it's more, the more information, the more connections you have. And it's the same way with the internet. What your websites and social media talk about and present are the same way you present in real life.
So I love everything that you just said. So the interconnections and that I'm just seeing that, see that web of how everything, if we look at everything, like we all are interconnected in so many ways. And then whatever our role within that is kind of like what we show up as. And I feel like where we show up is such a huge part of being in mastery of that universal algorithm. So that's what I want to talk about now, because now we have a system that can help us, but then there comes a certain mindset, if you will. I don't even know if that's quite the word, maybe a spiritual discipline, and being able to, because it's more than just a software system. It's like, okay, well, who's the person behind that? So of course you are the person behind the creation of this, but then the people that are coming to you to help boost what they've created. Let's talk a little bit about kind of where you go with supporting them and being successful.
Yeah. It's funny. This morning I was, I always set aside some time to go to breakfast and just go have breakfast and just kind of start my day. And one of the things, obviously I'm extremely busy, software, now getting into marketing, all these different things, is I heard this ex-wife of Elon Musk talk about. She said one of the greatest things I learned from him is he was able to say no to a lot of different things in order to focus on the things that he wants to move forward with. And it really hit me because I have things coming from me every day from different angles. Hey, let's go here, let's go here. And I'm really working on learning how to say no. Mm-hmm. But back to your point, with ranking mastery or Dennis, I guess you should say, they're in the same. We're consistently always trying to help the person get where they want to go. Unfortunately, some people don't follow that path and some do, and they excel. But in the end, kind of like I spend many chapters on over and kind of looping through and ranking mastery, the book is it just not going to, you have to follow the path. You have to follow the path. And yes, you'll be sidetracked. Yes, you'll have failures. Yes. And when it seems impossible, it's there. It's right around the corner. One of the chapters I have written in there, I call it treasure map mode. And, when I first started podcasting, I don't know how I got lucky, but I ended up having really great interviews. And one of them was, a friend of mine started a cryotherapy store here in San Diego. And this billionaire guy shows up. And I didn't know anything about him. In fact, I was there just to help my friend, to make a few bucks, take some pictures, do some video, this grand opening. And this guy kept on trying to talk to me. And that particular year, now each year you try to set something in time and space to where you're going to focus on that year, one little thing. Like in that year, I was making sure that anybody talked to me, I would listen and just take the time to listen instead of being Dennis run all over the place person. I was always all over the place. And it's like, no, so I caught myself, thank God. And I didn't have time to talk to him, but I did talk to him. And this guy started talking and we exchanged numbers. And before you know it, I'm like, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? And my friend that owned the store goes, do you realize who that guy is? I had no clue, this happened several times in my life. And sure enough, he goes, well, that's Lee Stein. He invented email. The email we use today, he invented a portion of how that technology happened. That he went on, he's a big philanthropist now, and he's saving the world in incredible ways. You can look him up, Lee Stein, if you're watching this. And he's like, well, when do you want to do an interview? So sure enough, I'm getting chills thinking about this. He's like, well, I'm going to come to your house. So you're going to come to my house? You come to my house. Like, okay. So, sure enough, we did this absolutely phenomenal interview. I mean, the guy really is in our space. Like, he just really has like this whole universal connection going on, and it's just such a pleasant interview. And there was no effort, right? It was just, we open our mouths and we do, like you and I talk a lot. And when he came, I was so busy, and I was like, God, I really wish I had an intern. I'm like, I need an intern. I need help. I'm just so busy. And I swear, and this is not made up. He calls me in his car. He goes, Dennis, I hope you don't mind, but I have a friend who's looking for an internship. I was going to bring him along to see if maybe you guys might be a match. And, in that day, I just remember that I was open to the world. I was open to what's coming to me. And the whole story behind treasure trap mode is when you wake up in a day and you have actions you want to take, instead of closing them off, keep an open mind to them. What's going to come? There's going to be something, whether it's a penny on the ground when you're walking, or a conversation you have with Jules, or watching Dennis on this video, or a piece of paper that falls on the floor in front of you that has something said on it that's going to give you something that's going to take you to where you're going to go. And the more I've been working on that, the more things have just aligned in my life, is know that everything in front of you, good or bad, shapes the direction of where you want to go. I guess they call it law of attraction, they call it whatever you want to call it. But it's there. And what's funny is it like, you think it's going to take you to the front door, but really it's going to take you around the back of the building and take you in the back door to a different place, to a different whole visualization of where you're going that you didn't project or see. So it's really interesting to use that mode in life to where just go with it. And if it takes you over here into this other car over here that you don't want to drive in, and takes you over to here to the back, as long as you're open, right, not closing it off, you meet somebody, you instantly close them off, and they might have something for you, So that's a great chapter in my book that kind of really has been something I've been working toward in my life, is just really being open to this interview, open to what's coming next, what phone call, what ideas. And of course, some have to just not vibrate with you, and they're not going to go in that direction. Of course, we know that.
I love that. So I feel like this is a good time to say that kind of that old paradigm way of creating something is we kind of say, okay, this is what I'm going to create. And then we'd reverse engineer and then go step 1, step 2, step 3. Those days are gone. This, I love that you, because I call it the treasure hunt too. It's like, it's like, what's the next little hint that we're going to get? And then following through, right? It's just doing what you're given if it vibrates, right? If it resonates.
Right.
And that really is the new way of creating, because it's never going to be, it's fine to put an intention there, but then we have to let it go, right? And stay open to being like, okay, that's what I think it's going to be, but what is it going to be really? I love that you are doing this, Dennis. See, I'm learning about, I always knew that you were awesome, but this just like puts you.
Yeah, it's just really, and you know what, listeners, or watchers or viewers, I'm not sure if this is a video or audio, is you're not always going to be in treasure mode. Accept it. You're not always going to be in it, but when you're in it, engage, be in it. It's just how it is. There's just, but you can't, as a professional athlete, when the bell rings and I have to go out and I have to compete, and you'll hear this from Olympic athletes all the time, you're out there for 2 minutes. That 2 minutes that you spend competing is an enormous amount of energy and excitement and focus that you just could never do for hours or minutes or days. It's just there's such an intense thing going on there. And then when you're in treasure trap mode and open, there's an intensity to it that's electric and exciting that has to be balanced with something else that shows you the difference between the two. So that your life goes with a balance of differences between the two to help you continue to recognize that that hot fudge sundae is really good to eat, but you can't eat it every day. Right. So I think that a lot of people they're in these spaces, motivational or whatever, they just think that, people like us we're always in that mode, and we're not. We're engaging and evaluating, and it's just a default way of life that happens that helps you appreciate when you're in those modes and take advantage of them and get better at them and better at them. And yes, you do get more of it as you go, but you got to be open to the fact that, you bounce in and out of it. You're a human being. So
I call that the awareness. It's you're either here or here, right? You're either in the intelligence of that frequency, what we call DMT, or universal intelligence, source intelligence, or you're not, right? And then you're experiencing life more from your programming or that sort of thing. Okay, I have to just say this out loud because I keep hearing people asking, because I don't think you've said this, is what did you actually do as a professional athlete? I keep you talked about that, but I don't think you ever said exactly what.
so you might see in the back here, that's me on a bike back there. So I was an extreme sport athlete. Actually, I got one right in my wallet here. I'll pull it off. And I was, this is me in Germany right here. I used to ride bikes as a professional, and I had all these cool things made on like $90 a piece. So I used to travel the world doing that. And then this one right here, I mean, this one, I wish you could see it in the video, but it's so cool. This is me in the streets of Switzerland here. This is a Swiss magazine, but I'm just a little kid, in front of all these people. This image just says so much. But that's what I used to do. I used to ride bikes in front of people and compete around the world. And that's what I used to do. Yeah. So now you see it.
So, and then now you have like a fundraising business that you hire people to come in and
we do school assemblies. So we do educational school assemblies. Basically that's I sold that some years ago, and then I realized that it's just, I guess, easy money. I just know it. And so I recreated my software and rebuilt it to be more automated. It's a 4 to 6 hour, a week job, but we do 400 schools a year, different presentations. We got some 2 or 3 going on today somewhere in the United States. But yeah, we do these 40-minute educational programs where these guys would go ride the bikes like that for the kids, and then put across an educational message on bullying or, vaping and different education. So
I love it.
It's a very popular thing. I'm sure I'll get a call or a booking while I'm on this video. So it's really cool. But yeah, so that's what I used to do. Sorry, I missed that point.
I know I kept on hearing people ask, so I was like, okay, let's just cut through and focus on this so that we can move on. All right, Dennis. So I know you have, so you have your software system that helps people kind of break through the algorithm in the 3rd dimension and bringing them into the multidimension so that their brilliance can come through in that really clear, precise way, right? It's almost like letting it do the work for you once you know what to do. So you have that part, which is amazing. And then you have this new book that you are launching that also comes with what is it, a program or a course that actually teaches the mindset for that?
So the book is basically, I've learned in business, after I made many mistakes with names and so on and so forth, and I think you've kind of understood that as well. You're very good, better at it than me. This is the Trif Factor, right? There's the product, and then the person, and then the subproducts of that, right? So you obviously have your your skincare line and all the different things you have. I don't even know, like I've looked at your website the other day, you have like 100 things now. So you have your product, and in the world today, more than any before, you need to build trust with people. So I really struggled with writing and grammar and spelling my whole life. But now with the ability to hire out editors and with AI and different things, you're able to write something down and just really kind of put your mind on paper or even on video for that matter these days, right? A lot of people did their books by video. They just record themselves and send it.
All right, sorry about that. My power went out, and but we're gonna just hop back in. So Dennis, I don't know if you can remember exactly where you're at, but I'll let you take
We
it.
were talking about the trifecta in business, right? So if you're in business, the best thing to do is to have a product, and with that product, back it with not you, the person, and the services you provide and the education and so forth. So we've always learned that the trifecta is important. So you have obviously your skincare lines and all your different lines, so that in order to get it out there, you have to put a name behind it, right? So you could some companies will go and get an athlete or a model or something like that to get behind it. You just chose to put yourself behind it, and then you created your stuff with that. So I'm using that model as well. Some businesses that may apply or may not apply, but maybe it does apply to every business. And so I decided that I'm going to write a book, and that's where the book came from. Is it's giving people an opportunity to get to know the owner, the man or the woman behind the business. And so you write the book, you get it all out there. You can share about you, your experience, and why you've evolved into your product. And then, of course, in our cases, we have courses that we offer, different things to help them get more educated on what that balance is, what that business and balance with your product is. And again, that still ties into who you are and how you teach and what your methods are. And then people take those methods and they adjust them in their own methods, and then they end up making their own books with their own content that they learn from you. So what I've learned was from other people. I take it and put it in my words, and then it's like a generational pass on, right? So we all kind of think that we create our own ideas. Our ideas are shaped from the person behind us, right, or in front of us. So we create them, and then we speak in our language, and then somebody is attracted to that. So writing the book and then having some courses available. So I'm certainly going to have some ranking mastery courses where they can understand the algorithms of why you should use search and how it works better for you organically. Talking about the whole, how many hands are up in the room, and getting more opportunity on the net with multiple links versus one, so you can get ranked higher and then dominate the room, have more links out there for people to choose from. I always use the parable of, if you own a house in La Jolla, and you live in a complex that has 10 units. Well, if you own 4 or 5 of those units, then you command the price of that asset. The internet's the same way. In Google search, they put top 10 searches in front of you. Why would you want to rank just one website when you can rank 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 of them? And you could compete against yourself. So when you're competing against yourself, you're commanding the value. And whether it's to increase your sales at the present time, or the actual asset is actually becoming an appreciating asset versus a depreciating asset. So anything you invest in your websites and different things, they become an appreciating asset when it's time to sell. So if Jules decides to sell someday and she has a massive prominence on the internet, she's got a specific phone number that people like to call, those are assets that you just cannot go without when you're buying a product or a service. So I remember when I sold one of my companies, the person bought it. It's like, oh yeah, you got a website, I can get that bill for like $500. I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is worth $500,000. He's like, that's impossible. No way. No. So we got an evaluator to come in, and they evaluated it, and they evaluated it and showed and demonstrated the orchestrated value of all of that, because it's out there. It's in the different places and the nooks and crannies, and people are clicking on it and buying on it. Like I said, I will probably get, a couple $1,000s worth of business while I'm on this phone call, because of the way the website is structured organically out there in search. People are looking for the specific things that I offer, and I niche them down so it speaks their language and gives them the opportunity to buy it. And that's done without any salesperson, just organically. So in the courses, in the book, and in the actual software, all of those mesh together and allow the product and service to excel.
I love that. There's one thing that you said, and I think this is actually, you said it before my power went out, but you said about gaining, getting people to a place of trust. And I really do feel that the more that people are advancing, that those days of trigger buying or like hooking people in to be afraid they're going to miss out on something in order to buy, or oh, their life is going to be horrible unless they buy now, and all those different ways that we used to market is gone. Now it's like, for me personally, I don't even want people buying until they create a certain level of trust of, like, either the answer is, okay, I know enough about this that I'm willing to find out and experience what this is, or I've been listening long enough that I am very aware of what I'm saying yes to, and then I'm going to buy. But if otherwise, it's like, what's the point, right? Because we want people that are invested in what we're doing, and it is an absolute yes when they purchase, because then they become part of your family, right?
Right.
And that's what I know you come from. And that's what I love about you, Dennis, is like, I mean, you talk about Dennis, and anybody I talk to about him, it's always like, oh my gosh, he's such a genius and he's such a good guy. It's like the same thing every time because they know you, right?
Yeah, but getting back to giving them a little real life experience, it's actually happening right now. And this is my point, of course, my point, but Apple computers, right? I mean, when Steve Jobs was there and Johnny Ive, they were the brand, more or less. I mean, when you thought of Apple, you thought of Steve Jobs and the shininess of Johnny Ive, the craftsmanship of Johnny Ive, and now they're not in there anymore. And you do see, like, people don't attach to Apple the way they used to attach to them, because there's no brand leadership. There's no Steve Jobs with the next thing. Every next thing that comes out now, I'm not waiting in line. I'm not waiting in line anymore. The he didn't get me hyped up and excited and live for me in that path, right? And they're still making really polished, incredible products. They're still incredible because they're just obviously the most expensive, biggest company in the world, and they can just buy everything and do everything. But there's just, when you use your Apple computer anymore, you just, if you're a person that started from the beginning to now, you always had that, like, you were following in the footsteps of what Steve Jobs created for you. And I think your people that are involved in your business, that what Jules is creating for us and advancing for us, it really makes it, a following. And there's several words you can use, but there's that following that's going on. And some people don't want to step into that position. We see that a lot, right? And there's many ways you can step into that position of running a company. You don't have to be this, iconic person. You can just be you, and that will just become itself in itself. There's no specific outfit that you and I wear, or there's never a specific, jingle that we do. Do you remember at the New Media Summit when they had the older gentleman, Mr. Fantastic, and he had the hat on and the whole thing? Like, he was trying to be an icon in that relative, and I'm not comfortable doing it that way. You're not comfortable doing that way, but he is, and that's fine. But we're speaking of him right now, right? So, Steve Jobs with the black turtleneck. So if you think of that, when I put mine on, I think of him. So, but you can be in your own way, your own subtleties, and just be you, and people just like that. You and I aren't eccentric people that go out and do crazy things and step in people's way and argumentative or make our points, right? We just are just being ourselves and doing it our own way, and that's working for us.
I love that. Yeah, that being authentic. Did I say that right? Anyways, it's not coming through exactly the way I wanted it to, but yeah, talk about being authentic. Okay, so being authentic is for me so important, because I couldn't show up in any other way, because then I feel the static and the yuckiness. But what I love about what you just said too is it's going back to the treasure hunt, right? If we can just show up in our business as the treasure hunt, as much as we commit to that, it's going to show us what to do. And I just like keep feeling, okay, so connecting that to your software system, to your book that tells everybody how to make this happen in the easiest way of kind of breaking the algorithm and putting it into that multidimensional space where it's actually working for you, so that you can focus on following those breadcrumbs and not trying to figure out following the breadcrumbs and then trying to be seen at the same time, because that trying to be seen energy is kind of yucky. It's just like, I know, like, but that kind of like lets that go. And it's like, okay, just putting that frequency there and then letting the software system work for you keeps you in that authentic space.
Right. Yeah. It really does. It's a presentation of you, right? So again, focusing life and technology are, I really, with the book, I'm really trying really hard to not make it a manual and just make it a manual about life, and then getting them to get the why they should do it, and the excitement of doing it. There's nothing more exciting than going out to a nice dinner. You want to do that. You're excited about it. You put your clothes on the side and set up for doing that. How do we get people to get excited and get their dress ready to go do search or be found or grow their businesses? It's hard sometimes for people to get that idea of how can I get excited about this instead of making it a chore. Because let's face it, creating content and creating stuff can be a chore. And somehow if we can circle back and keep recircling back and reminding them that, okay, let's not make it a chore today. Let's make it, maybe you're trying to get this point across, but you know what, since your energy's here, go here and let it go over to there, and make it happen that way, instead of just forcing it to be, I need to talk about padding and margins in your website. Yeah, like we want to talk about that right now, but if I can help you understand that the space in your house and how I have space between those two pictures in the wall or whatever, different things is similar to what you do in your website. You got to kind of create, you can't just stick that picture next to this one over here and have a green thing here with a yellow thing here, and they don't match. So when you design your room and design your content on a page, you need to kind of keep some space in there and keep some subtle colors, some offsets to your colors, instead of going from yellow to whatever. So I hope.
Okay, let's be there just a little bit, but that's okay, because I feel like the point to this is that there is like the algorithm of every little space. And the point to this is that you have put in a ton of work of finding what works, and you have mastered it, like hence ranking mastery, because you have mastered it so that everybody else doesn't have to. And so that they can stay in their genius and in their own lane and not necessarily have to know how if they're shown how, right? So they don't have to go try to figure it out. They just do what's already been proven to work, so that we can stay in the creative, and then the system does all the hard work.
Right. I think you helped me kind of get a little clearer on this. So you're at a stage in your business now where you're using a lot of analytics more and more and more as you go. In the beginning, you really were just kind of just getting it going. And ranking mastery doesn't go and use all these crazy SEO tools you see and the analytics and this and all these things that people like just don't even need, because they're only getting 2 leads a month because their leads are $10,000 a piece, or they're just starting. They're not churning over 30,000 page views a day. And these analytics that are out there that people are trying to use when they start their company just don't apply to you. I mean, even my BMX business, I just those tools just don't even apply to that. I get 3 to 5 leads a day that make good money, right? So ranking mastery really just, you don't need any of that. It's like, let's make the fundamental page that's going to work, that has all the requirements of a relative page, a relative content page, so that you can get started. And then if you're getting so much content, and then you start doing like Jules does, and that has more, you have more visibility, that you need more tracking tools and things to kind of get it really complicated, so to speak, at that point. But I think ranking mastery is just that that simple tool to get you really where you want to go. And then you can decide where you're going to go with other tools. We can't be everything. We can't be complicated and simple. Although some people will say it's complicated now, but once you understand it, just like using Microsoft Word, I have trouble learning how to use that sometimes. I was trying to figure out how to do some line spacing. It took me 15 minutes the other day, and I'm a software engineer. So, but I mean, anything, once you learn it, it's pretty simple. And then you kind of graduate on to other things. Some people will say, like, Tony Robbins is the motivational person. Well, he isn't. He's just here. And there's all of us around out there. You don't, and you might go to Tony, but then you're going to go to Jules or Sam or Carl, or because Russell Brunson said this the best thing. It's like you're an expert in now, and then you're going to be an expert again somewhere else, and you're going to want different information from a different point of view for different things to happen. Kind of like the treasure map, right? You just got to kind of keep going down the treasure map of education and vibration to where you're going to lead next.
I love it. I love that. So let's wrap it up and tell people where they can go to learn more, and then we'll do our little takeaways at the end.
Awesome. Right. So obviously you can go to rankingmastery.com. That's our we call a brochure website that just has the basics. Everybody, I do recommend that you have a brochure website that just has all of what you offer on there, and kind of talks about it. And it's not singularly what we called relative, right? So Ranking Mastery is that. Sooner or later, you'll start seeing other things coming out around the net that are more niche for Ranking Mastery, but those, I'm not here to promote that right now. But what we are doing with our initial launch is we're doing basically Zoom calls, whether it be one-to-one or work group calls, where we actually take a complete profile of a company. And we just really profile them out, marketing strategy, who's your market. Because when we create content in our systems, we have to have an evaluation of what their market is. I took a person just yesterday that actually Cynthia, and she does what you know the words better than I do. She does
Palmistry. The hands. Yeah. Well, she's on, you'll see her interview on here.
Yeah. And she does all this incredible stuff. And I know really nothing. I know about it from the outside, but the stuff that she's doing, we had to create content for her. We did some stuff for her yesterday, but this process I took them through, it blew her mind in her own business. So the process we took to build her thing out and create that all out, and we do that, and then that helps us to be able to create the content for the websites that we do, because we basically do that on point, on guard. Once the site's set up, that we have a complete profile on the company, so we know what has to be said, the call to actions, the products, the services. We know the demographic. We know what those people use for words and different things. So it crafts that all out and then creates it. So for people out there, we've been doing these reports as we take them on, and they can decide to come on to Ranking Mastery and be a part of it. But we are not afraid to do a report for people and blow their mind and show them what their company should be doing.
I love that. And right there's so much value in that, because having a reflection from somebody that knows the inside of this universal algorithm, if you will, the way that you do, the reflection in the stuff that can come through just by that one conversation is so valuable. So I love that. And they can sign up for that on your website.
Yes, I will put make sure there's a little tab on there so that they can do that. And they can contact me. My name is Dennis Langley. You can obviously find me very easily on the web. There's hundreds of videos, and my phone number is everywhere. I'm not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's up there. You can find me. Jules will, knows you can find me. And but yeah, that we've been profiling people because we're right now in the early stages of the software, so we're able to give more personal attention. Right now, at this point, we're willing to do that personal attention. And of course, we want you to sign up, but it helps us profile businesses and learn and get our software better and better for people. So we'll do the profile, and we'll go through what you need to be found in search for and what your goals are with this thing. And so far, I haven't found a person that hasn't blown their mind yet. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely, I mean, it would take $10,000 worth of work to do this if you didn't have the right tools in front of you. So, I mean, that's that rad, but we can do it very easily because we're experienced at it and we know what we're doing.
And I have to say, like, I say this all the time. I mean, I think anytime that your name comes up, it literally follows by, this guy is literally a genius. And that is how I see you. You're just so dialed in to your genius here that there's just nothing else like it. And you back it up with just being a really amazing person. So definitely reach out to Dennis if you're in a space in your business where you're looking to grow it. And even if you have grown it and you're just looking for other ways to get yourself out there, it's definitely worth a conversation, because he really will blow your mind. You walk away going, wow, that guy is a genius. So thank you, Dennis, for just bringing your genius today and your brilliance. And I hope that people are feeling intrigued and excited. And if anything, just maybe step back and look at your life of, where do I need to bring in that treasure hunt mentality a little bit more?
Right.
Let you wrap it up here if you have anything else you'd like to
Yeah.
say.
Again, I appreciate everybody listening that or watching this far, and you know, whether it's ranking mastery or what I do or Jules does, just go with it. Find where you go and see what happens. We kind of talked about it over and over again in today. Is with your business or your life, they're all kind of entwined the same. Is just follow your path. Certainly, ranking mastery helps you do that with your business, and then we try to make sure it's not a complicated process too, where it's going to overwhelm you too much. And that's, I think that's an important thing to drive by is, what you've heard here today is there's nothing complicated about it. It's very simple, relatable content that we both and all can share.
I love it. All right, everyone. So raise
Everybody.
your vibration. One of the easiest ways to do it is to start to live your treasure hunt life. And then even if you're just putting in the intention to master the algorithm of the universe from your own space of mastery, and then go watch what the universe gives you. All right. We love you guys. Thank you, Dennis.